If you were running for president, what would be your privacy and digital rights platform for changes you want to make if elected? I find it easier to talk about this because I can't like seriously, I can't talk about running for president and actually acting like I'd be able to do anything like substantial. So,
Yeah.
so I like to. I'm gonna change your question. If I was a dictator, what would be my digital privacy and like protections in place? Um, so for me, like if I could just change it and there was no like due process, the first thing I think and the biggest issue right now is just the lack of rights that individuals have, right? So if you're a person who's on Facebook, you actually have no very little rights. I guess you have California and some other states now that you have some basic stuff now. You can ask to delete your data. Great. But like it needs to go a lot further than that. Like people should be able to specifically opt out of ad tracking. Like that should be a requirement in my eyes. That should be something you should be able to easily opt out of. No dark patterns. Companies have to be a lot more transparent. I would also have some kind of like regulatory use of data. Third party. I don't know how this would look, but maybe like any kind of data that's used for any kind of third party tracking has to be regulated differently. So that also includes platforms because currently companies get around this by saying it's a first party form of tracking because we're serving ads on our own platform, so we're keeping all the data within ourselves, we're not sharing it with third parties. But that's something that needs to be targeted as well. um, and besides those two things, I think like internet, just basic internet access. Like the U.S. needs to have basic internet. We need better internet infrastructure, and getting people access to better internet all around the country, I think, would be a big win. And also cracking down on government stuff as well in terms of like warrantless surveillance, which, as we know, FISA was just reintroduced. So things like that would need to be cracked down as well in terms of like when we can spy on our own citizens and other citizens too. So various things.
Yeah.
What about you,
All good
Dictator
stuff.
Jonah?
No, it's all pretty much similar stuff. I mean, at a minimum, enacting some sort of privacy regulations like the GDPR, which has already been used as like a framework for privacy laws in a lot of countries outside the EU. So it's something that could be very easily adapted to the United States, for example. Getting protections like that in is um, obviously, I think, the first step that needs to happen in terms of privacy rights in this country. But we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
All of that stuff that you said, though, is perfect. It's good that you brought up like the lack of internet access. I feel like a lot of people don't realize like the digital divide that there is between like certain areas of the United States or like certain populations. There's a lot of like areas that are vastly underserved by current internet service providers, and it's ridiculous how we haven't managed to like get basic internet connectivity to every single household in America when everyone needs the internet to like operate normally in society. It's it's so crazy to me.
Right, and a lot of those areas have less money.
Hmm.
And it's another perfect example of areas with less money having access to less resources, especially now that remote work is more of a thing. This now makes it harder for people who already maybe could have access to better jobs and positions. It's harder for them to do that because they have less guaranteed internet accessibility. So it's a big thing. And I don't know. It's crazy to me that instead of us as a country figuring out how to do that, people are instead relying, and again, I think it's a cool service, right? But like the current solution proposed is satellites and Elon
Yeah.
Musk's like satellite thing, which again I think it's cool. Like if I was someone who was like, like a van life, or if I was in a rural area that didn't have good internet access, I think it's great. But there has to be something that is more accessible to people than that, because even the Starlink thing is pretty expensive. Like you have to buy the equipment, and also it's a monthly subscription that you have to deal with. And yeah, it's crazy to me
Yeah.
like how few places have fiber actually in the U.S.
Yeah, exactly. And it's those wireless technologies will simply never be as good as like a fiber connection. I do think that it's good that you brought that up because like between 5G and Starlink, it is good that we have so many options that are like these stopgap solutions for getting everyone internet who wants it or needs it. But in the long term, there absolutely has to be a focus on like getting laying down fiber lines and getting this to every single house. And I don't really know how it's going to happen in the US when we have so many like politicians who don't understand technology fundamentals. It seems like we're going to be stuck like this for quite a while until that changes. So it's
Right.
unfortunate.
Right. I also just feel like people, and yeah, I'm gonna criticize this dual party system. Like, it's impossible to agree on even the basic things of like, hey, yeah, people should probably have access to the internet. I feel like that's now a debate. And
Yeah.
I would rather us debate how to do it, not whether or not it should be happening in the first place. And
Yeah.
this is it's crazy. So this is a little bit off topic. It blows my mind how the IRS finally, this has been one of my like biggest criticisms of the US. It is so stupid hard to file for taxes, and the fact that we have private companies that charge money for you to already pay the government be the like recommended most used system is crazy. So the IRS finally does something that I'm like, that's cool. They rolled out their new like simple taxpayer thing.
Hmm.
And I don't know if you saw, but the surveys were like really solid. Some people had a couple minor issues, but
Really?
overall, like people really said it was solid. It saved millions of dollars is in just their little trial. And there's people against this. They're saying it gives the IRS too much power, too much control, and it's like they already know what you have to pay. Like
Yeah,
I
just let them tell you.
yeah,
That's
just let
all.
them tell you what to pay. Like they already know. And I don't know, it's just crazy to me that something as basic as making taxes easier to pay for the government. The government wants their money, and the government is against making it easier for people to give them money. It obviously for people
Yeah.
who don't know what's going on here is lobbying from all the companies that rely on the tax processing, Intuit is a big problem. So that's obviously what's going on here, but it's crazy to me that something so basic as that is a debate in any way, shape, or form. um it's criminal. So the same thing with the internet thing. Like, internet access should just be a basic human right in this day and age, in my eyes. But I feel like I beat that one to death, so I'll leave it
Yeah.
there. Hey, thanks for watching this clip. Here's another clip for you, and if you want to really dive into tech, check out our main channel, Techlore, for a deeper dive into digital rights, privacy, security, and more. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you soon.